Hey guys, Technomentary with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about the iPhone 11 going into 2023, if it's worth it, if you're using it, if you think about getting it or even upgrading to it. Let's talk about the iPhone 11 this year. So without diving into it, the iPhone 11, it's hard to believe, but it's been over 3 years now, released back in September of 2019, and Apple was actually selling this model last year. We seen they did drop the price. Originally, the iPhone 11 started at $699 for the 64 gig and then $749 for the 128 gig and $849 for the 256 gig model. It came in a variety of colors. You had it black, which we have right here. You also had it in white, red, yellow, green, and purple as well. So multitude of colors to get it from, and it's a really nice size phone. It's a 6.1 inch display size, which seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of people because this phone, again, a popular device, and a lot of people are actually still using it, surprisingly. So as you can see here, the design here, very sleek, got those rounded edges before Apple went to those kind of flat bezels here. So you got that design here. You got two 12 megapixel camera, the Apple logo here, and this slick body design, both front and backyard glass. It does have wireless charging. It is water resistant as well. So a lot of things going for this phone, which again didn't cost $1,000, but it is still pricey. And now if you're looking to get the device, the price has gone down to under $300, which if you're buying it, most likely it's pre-owned or used, which you can get it from eBay or Amazon under $300. We'll leave the link in the description section if you want to check it out. So let's talk about a little bit more about the phone. As we mentioned, it's a 6.1 inch display that we have here. Pretty big display. The hardware on the phone here, it does have the A13 Bionic chip with 4 gigs of RAM. A lot of power there going into this phone here. And if we look into other things like the battery itself, again, it has one of the bigger batteries here. So it does have a 3110 mAh battery, and over time here, this phone, we used it for 3 years. The battery did degrade here, and Apple recommends getting it replaced when it goes under 80 or so. But again, if you're using it, it will last you for some good time before you need to replace it. It gives you about 17 hours of video playback. Now, in comparison to a phone like the iPhone 14 is probably what you're going to be comparing it to if you look at the latest model right now that's out. That gives you about 20 hours of video playback, which is about 3 hour difference in terms of the battery life. Again, not a lot that you get if you're getting the latest phone, considering this phone does have a pretty big battery built into it already. So that's going to be the other thing. And then the other thing you want to talk about, again, with iPhones is the camera that you have on this phone. Now, the camera here, great quality in terms of photos and portrait mode as well. You get all of these features like the panel, and even when it comes to video recording, you can record in 4K up to 60 frames per second. Now, it doesn't have things like the cinematic mode or the action mode available for us on it, and those are some of the newer features that come with the newer phone. So in terms of this camera, it's a good camera for the average user, we'll say. It's not something photo or someone that's looking to really use it mainly for photography because of those minor improvements, things that you see on the newer model. But again, it's a decent camera, like you said, for the normal average user. So that's gonna our take on it. And now moving on to the next big thing with phone here, it's going to be the software. As you can see here, we're running the latest iOS 16 update here, which we did a review video if you guys want to check out iOS 16 running on iPhone 11 and if it's worth upgrading to it. But we have upgraded, and you can see here you can take advantage of pretty much most of the features that iOS 16 comes with, which was released for iPhone 14 lineup here. And you can see here we updated, and you can go ahead and check out those features. But again, so far stable release on the iPhone for the iOS 16 we've seen, and I think, upgrading it to it, you shouldn't have any issue. And talking about the software, the phone, it's going to be lasting good for another good 2 to 3 years, no doubt there. We started to test out all of the applications here. We didn't really have any issues with the applications here. All of the application when it comes to entertainment, to work, to play, your school, or whatever you're looking to do, because of this size display, really good when it comes to even watching shows and stuff. All of these for you. And even when it comes to gaming, you can pretty much play most games on the phone, from 2D to even 3D heavy graphic gamings that we did. Wouldn't recommend playing heavy graphic games, but again, it's up to you. But you can definitely do it with the phone is what we're trying to get to it. So again, overall, our final kind of conclusion, if you are, first of all, have this phone and don't want to upgrade it and keep it, it's definitely worth it going into 2023 if you don't want those upgraded features like course, upgraded camera. You don't really care about all of those minor upgrades that happen with the camera. And lastly, the other thing about the phone here that you want to mention, some of the kind of drawback for the iPhone 11 is that it does not have 5G support. Unfortunately, iPhone 12 and above started supporting 5G. But we do want to mention one thing about the iPhone 11 that you find is that it does have the SIM card tray, and this really makes a difference for a lot of people who especially like to travel out of the country and they like to take out the SIM out of the phone. Because the newer phones only support on the US model eSIM, that means you can't really do that quite easily. But the iPhone 11, you'll notice here, has the physical SIM card. Again, a lot of people, that is a big deal, especially iPhone just on the US model no longer having the physical SIM card. And lastly, if I mentioned already for you guys here, the software again is working. Again, with those upgrades that we've seen, the iPhone 11 in our review is definitely worth it for at least another 2 to 3 years, if not even longer. And that's why we're saying this phone is a popular device. And if you really are thinking about upgrading from the 11, most likely you'll be probably looking at the iPhone 14 or the 14 Plus if you don't want to pay the $1,000 price tag, which again makes sense if you're going to be upgrading from the 11 because you care about those upgraded features, because it is a 3 generation old phone. When it comes to basic stuff, it'll get it done. But if you're looking to really multitask and get the latest and the greatest, of course, go with the newer device here. So that's kind of our review of the iPhone 11. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If so, please make sure that like and subscribe button. While you're at it, we want to hear from you guys. What's your thought on the iPhone 11? Make sure to leave a comment in the comment section. And thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.